Well, hello there, vinyl community. Elliot here, Lazy Dogs Records. And this is just a quick little video. I wanted to show you some records I picked up at an estate sale. I was just minding my own business this morning, not hurting anybody, not hurting a soul. And I got a call from my friend and neighbor, Junior. Junior says, "Hey, Elliot, come up to Christian Light Road. There's an estate sale, and they got a bunch of records." And so I did what my neighbor Junior said, and I headed up to the estate sale. Sure enough, there must have been about 300 records there, and out in a storage building, and all country, virtually all country. There may be 3% other than country, maybe 20 or 30 records that weren't country. Harry Belafonte and uh, couple of things, Doris Day, people like that. The rest of it was country, and of course, country's not in huge demand. But I'm a big country fan, especially country music from the 50s and 60s. So I ended up taking probably a fourth or third of what they had there. Ended up with 121 records, and I thought I'd show you just a few of the records I picked up. Now, again, these are not records that are going to, uh, set your fields on fire. You're not going to, think, oh, wow, that's what a rare record or anything like that is. It might be, but these are, records that I want to enjoy, and some of them that I may find, someone wants at my record table at the vintage shop or at a record show or something like that, but nothing that's going to set the world on fire. Uh, these are. I ended up giving $1 a piece for them. They wanted $2, and I said, "But if I find 100 records?" They said, "If you find 100 records you want to buy," he said, "you can have them for $1 a piece." And he said, "But I tell you what, if you'll take everything for $150, they're yours." And like I said, there was 300, 400 records there, but there's a lot of beat up records and a lot of records that just had no real uh, intrinsic value, and they weren't artists that I just had to have. There were uh, some country artists from the 50s and 60s, basically, Jack Green and uh, I'm trying to think of Roy Durst and people like that. No, good artists, but just I'm not going to add them to my collection, I don't think. So anyway, here's the ones I did keep. I ended up getting, like I say, 121 records. On Cap Records, Mother Maybelle, Queen of the Auto Harp. She's always been a striking looking woman to me, and she, not a natural beauty or anything, but just striking. I think it's the eyes. But of course, Carter family, Mother Maybelle, Queen of the Auto Harp. And Shot Jackson, dobro player, Bluegrass Dobro, just kind of a generic on Cumberland Records, mono record. And, the Stone family, first family of country music. Uh, this is a Stoneman Christmas. I got all the Jerry Reed that had it, or at least, yeah, I think I got all of them. Got two. Jerry Reed Cooking and Jerry Reed Both Barrels. And those are on RCA. And one of the great country, and I could say Western on this, country and Western artists from the 40s and 50s, Hank Thompson, A Six Pack to Go. And that's on Capitol, I believe, isn't it? Yeah, Capitol. West Coast country artist. Uh, from Virginia. He did a little bit of everything in country music. He was playing on bass on records in the 40s for Molly O'Day. He was a vocalist for the Bluegrass Boys for Bill Monroe's band for a while. He had pop country crossover singles in the I guess it was the early 50s, and he was a bluegrass stalwart in the 60s and 70s, and he just recently died. Uh, he was 96, 97 years old when he passed away, still making music when he passed away, by the way. He was writing songs and putting together an album when he passed away, Mr. Mac Wiseman. And this one is electronically rechanneled for stereo. That's not my favorite idea to do that, but they did. On Dot, he was also the head of Dot Records in Nashville at one time. And he is one of the handful of people that founded the Country Music Association, the Hall of Fame, and was an officer in that for many years. Joe Maphis, country guitar, great guitar player. And this goes on the Jimmy Dean show. So I guess recordings from the Jimmy Dean show. Jimmy Dean had a major uh, regional television show based out of the Washington D.C. area. I believe they had stations, a lot of stations that carried that show was syndicated, not on a major network. Another person that came out of that same Jimmy Dean show, I believe, but came out of that D.C. area, Mr. Roy Clark. And this is Guitar Spectacular. And this has got Caravan on it. It's got the Malaguna, the instrumental. A lot of these are, if not all of these, are instrumentals on Capitol. I met personally and got my picture taken with little Jimmy Dickens one time back in the 1980s. And his biggest hit was May the Bird of Paradise Fly Up Your Nose. And kind of a novelty song, obviously. And so this is the little Jimmy Dickens record on Columbia Records. As you see, all these are late 50s, early 60s so far. Just a generic flat and Scruggs, Foggy Mountain chimes, this one. But note here, they put the past they had to a bluegrass festival, probably the bluegrass festival that was held a few miles from this location where I picked these up. There's 2 or 3 albums that have these, so they probably bought it at the merch table. Flat and Scruggs, or maybe Lester Flatt was playing there, and they thought to memorialize their trip to the bluegrass festival. They did that. A lot of Buck Owens and the Buckaroos. I already had a ton of Buck Owens and the Buckaroos, so I didn't buy that many of them. A few of them I hadn't seen before. The ones that feature the Buckaroos, especially Don Rich, of course, and the other members. They say that the Buckaroos in the mid 1960s, this was the tightest band in music, not in country music, in music as a whole. So, a couple of those out from the West Coast, of course, the great Merle Haggard. I got a bunch of Merle Haggard records. This is one I didn't already have. I'm not familiar with that cover. This is Merle Haggard and the Strangers. Someday we'll look back. And here's one I'd never seen before. A gospel album, Merle Haggard and the Strangers, The Land of Many Churches, with special guests Bonnie Owens and the Carter family. So there's Mother Maybelle appearing again. Merle Haggard mentions Tommy Collins in one of his songs. And I know the mention. I know he was an artist back then, but I didn't have any music by him. So guess what I found? I got 2, I believe, Tommy Collins. Dynamic Tommy Collins. This will probably be looks like it's on Columbia. Okay. And it's a 2x on Columbia. These records were in good condition, though. Jackets, many of them were not in best condition. But the records themselves, they're a little dirty. They need cleaning, but they're in good condition. Here's an oddity, I thought. How about Roy Orbison sings Don Gibson, great country songwriter and performer. So we've got it on MGM, excuse me. Roy Orbison sings Don Gibson. Ton of George Jones. And of course, George Jones put out a ton of records. I bet I bought 10 or 15 George Jones records. He was on United Artists. He was on Musical. He was on Star Day, I guess it was. This is one from United Artists. George Jones sings like the Dickens. There were a bunch of Vern Gosdin. Love Vern Gosdin. Great voices in country music, right up there with George Jones. And I didn't have this album. I've got most of his stuff, but I didn't have this one, Never My Love. And I got probably picked up 3 or 4 Vern Gosdins. So I'm just trying to show you a sampling of what I got. How many of you remember the Ballad of the Green Berets? Okay, that's Barry Sadler, Ballad of the Green Berets. But how about Barry when he came back home? There he is doing an album. So I doubt I'll like this album, but just the novelty of it is the reason I got it, because of the Ballad of the Green Berets. The great First Lady of country music, Miss Kitty Wells, the first female star in country music. And this is on Decca, and this is Winter of Your Heart, and this is an old album, you can tell. So looking forward to playing that one. A mono record, good. Okay, here's a record I've been hoping to get for a while. Love the cover, the songs. 6 of the 12 songs involve someone getting murdered. Porter Wagner, The Cold Hard Facts of Life. That's my favorite album cover of all time. And my copy of this was in such bad shape, it wasn't keepable. And I'm hoping this one will play really good. But look at that picture. Oh man, somebody is in trouble, and I don't think somebody or somebody's is coming out of this one alive. Okay, everybody used to make jokes about Slim Whitman. I didn't have any Slim Whitman albums, but they used to sell records on the television, the little 30-second or 1-minute ads on the television for Slim Whitman records. People made fun of him. He had kind of a snidely whiplash mustache, but they say he was a really nice guy. I know a story about him I won't tell right now. This is on Imperial and Love Song of the Waterfall. He made a lot of money selling those, with those TV ads selling those. Now, of course, there were no Louvin Brothers records. I was hoping there would be, because I kept seeing Charlie Louvin records. So I got several of them. I had several already. I didn't realize he put out so many records after the Louvin brothers split up. But I got some I didn't already have, maybe 2 or 3. But here's something, and I probably picked this up thinking I was looking at another Charlie Louvin record. But guess what? I didn't realize Ira had put out any records individually after they broke up. He died soon after they broke up in a car accident. But this is the unforgettable Ira Louvin, The Last Recordings of a Great Country Star. And it's on Capitol. There were a bunch of Waylons. My friend Junior that called me, he got about a half dozen Waylon records, but I still ended up getting probably 5 or 6 Waylon records. This is a really good record. Are You Ready for the Country? I've got a copy of this, but I'll clean this one up and maybe put it down at the merch table. And here's the biggest find as far as a bluegrass record is concerned. Mule Skinner. This is a potpourri of Bluegrass Jam. Richard Green, David Grisman, Bill Keith, Peter Rowan, and Clarence White. And I didn't remember them ever playing at the Bluegrass Festival, local Bluegrass Festival. Maybe some of the members were there in a different configuration. But once again, here's his Friday pass to the Bluegrass Festival. He's got stuck on the cover there. And the Everly Brothers. This is called A Date with the Everly Brothers. And it is on Warner Brothers. Okay. In Memorial, Cowboy Copas and Hawkshaw Hawkins on King Records. 2 great artists we lost in country music, we lost way too soon. There were several I didn't get all the Wanda Jacksons, but I got two or three of them. There's You'll Always Have My Love, Wanda Jackson, one of the early rockabilly artists when she was young. Okay, here are the two, finds, on the Little Darling label, Wherever You Are, Johnny Paycheck. He's changed his name to Johnny Paycheck, and he first recorded on Little Darling Records. And I had to look any of these up to see, what what they go for or anything. But I was so glad to get that. I saw Johnny Cash a couple of times in concert, and at least two times, maybe more. And really, he put on a great show. Almost met him. A friend of mine who was the opening act was going to introduce me. We were on the side of the stage, and he was going to introduce me to Johnny Paycheck. And right as we walk up, Johnny Paycheck starts walking onto the stage. They announced him and started walking on the stage. So I didn't get to meet Johnny Paycheck. Okay, and the bitter tears from Johnny Cash. There were a lot of Johnny Cash in there, and I got some of them. But that's just a look at some of what I got. A bunch of records. I got 121 of them. I didn't take them up on the you can have them all for $150 because I knew the ones I didn't pick here out of this 121, they would just take up a whole lot of space and it'd take a lot of time to get them all cleaned. And I didn't have any strong desire to have them. And they didn't have a lot of value. I could put them out at the vintage shop for $4, but they may never sell. And they would just take up space where something that might be more attractive to someone would be sitting. Okay. So there's what I found today at the last minute estate sale find. Okay, everybody. I hope everybody's doing great. Have a great weekend this weekend. And remember to be kind to your neighbors. We are all, every one of us, are neighbors to one another. So be kind. Take care.